Morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. You are welcome to Morning Spring today on Western Spring Television. Thank you for staying with us all week. And this is the last edition for this week, where we talk about things that are very, very important. This project, this baby called Nigeria, that should never die, that should grow, fly, soar, and do great things. Having that conversation here is what we do. And by the way, in a manner of speaking, not a baby, actually, as an adult there, 64-year-old, almost 65 cannot be said to be a baby or even a youth. We should be doing great things. And if we must do that, all hands must be on deck. And that's why we are here. Femi Ojo is my name. On the program, we look at headlines from major dailies. And of course, at the other side of that, we then get talking about these issues. Thank you for joining us. Thank God it's Friday. Daniel, thank God it's Friday.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful
TGIF.
Friday morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
And of course, good morning to all our distinguished viewers. Thank God it's Friday. Beautiful Friday morning it is here and of course all over the world. Thank you once again for joining us on Morning Spring. This is Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. Always a pleasure to be here for you and always a pleasure also to have you at the other side, joining us on the program. Quite a sad one for Nigeria. Just last night, excuse me, the news filtered in. Nigeria lost someone, someone very iconic, legendary goalkeeper, Peter Rufai, passed away last night at the age of 61. We got the news last night that he passed. The statement was released by Super Eagles saying he passed away at the age of 61. That's Peter Rufai right there. I remember growing up, I grew up watching Peter Rufai. I still remember as a little boy, the 1994 World Cup, Peter Rufai was legendary. Of course, he also won the AFCON for 1994. Talking about our keeper then, great Peter Rufai. Very legendary goalkeeper for Nigeria. Quite a loss for Nigeria and, of course, for the Football Association and for the nation as a whole.
Right, Dodo Mayana.
Dodo Mayana, as it's fondly called.
He's a great, was now, a great goalkeeper, illustrious one for Nigeria. Quite a towering figure he had where he was in the post. And I remember the 1994 World Cup you talked about. It was in goal, especially on that fateful day when Italy, beat Nigeria 2-1. On a Sunday evening, I remember that match very well, with one ponytail wearing young man who did the damage on the day for Italy. Roberto Baggio is the name. And Dodo Mayana was there. Nigeria was almost tipping over to the second round. But I think inexperience at that point played a part. But he was there with the gentle giant in his immediate front. That's Uche Okechukwu. And then you have Austin Eguavon on this side, Benny Rowe on this side, Rashidi Yakini up forward, Sunday Olise, JJ Okocha, Duka Ugbadi, many of them like that. It will be missed, actually. So it's not just for his goalkeeping thing, but even after he retired, he didn't leave football.
Yeah.
He didn't leave. Charity matches here and there, interventions, anything called sport, it was available. Quite a bright and shining at his team. That team was known as the Golden Era team, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who won the World Cup before, the
Olympics.
The AFCON, before that. It was Tunisia 94, before the World Cup in USA, actually. And they won in a very sterling fashion. The boys were on form, all of them peaking. Daniel Amokachi, the Bull.
Absolutely.
Emmanuel Aminike, many of them were there. And then they took that form, many of them, the overage, took that form to the Atlanta Olympics, actually. And Dodo Mayana, wasn't at the goal because you can only have 3 overage players at the Olympics. So it was Dosu Joseph, MWN.
Oh, when he came in, that's true.
Dosu Joseph. Yeah. And then the overage, I think that time was Amokachi, I think Olise. I'm not too sure now. 3 of them were there and they claimed the world. Only for the diplomatic situation, between Nigeria and South Africa to take his star. Abacha was there. So he told the Super Eagles, because of the issues, then he was a military leader, that Nigeria should not participate. To boycott the AFCON in South Africa. And so you see that form wasn't used in 1996. So And Nigeria got a sanction in 1998 at Burkina 98 and only came back in the year 2000. And it will be missed. Actually, it's a sad one.
Absolutely.
Actually, and not just on the Nigerian front, even in the international level as well.
Yeah.
Liverpool player Diego Jota.
Yeah.
Died in a car crash.
Diego, quite unfortunate. He died with his brother, with his younger brother.
Again, and he got married just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. No, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
June 22, so not up to weeks.
So it's a lot for Liverpool. Quite a promising start. 28, actually,
28.
in a car crash. And, this speaks to the ephemeral nature of life.
Absolutely.
Quite a bright guy. I love Diego Jota. He's a Liverpool fan. Liverpool player. I'm not a Scouser or a Red. But then he's quite a bright guy. He came into Liverpool, made the difference, and his teammates have been, paying tribute have been rolling in on
absolutely.
Well.
And like Ronaldo put it, it doesn't make any sense. It's a freak accident.
He's a Portuguese player.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo is his captain.
Their teammate. So it was a freak accident. Imagine a Lamborghini. We understand they were trying to overtake a vehicle. Then the tire burst. Then the car just caught fire.
Yeah.
Lamborghini and two brothers, two promising, both of them professional footballers, by the way, died in that accident. Quite unfortunate. They would miss, and of course, here in Nigeria, Dodo Mayana will be very, will be missed greatly. Because I remember then, how does it feel, Femi, when you are representing Nigeria and you have the crowd, thousands of people calling your name. I remember then he was always in goal. People be shouting, Peter Rufai, Peter, as kids, we just be shouting his name because we so much believed in him as a person and as a keeper. So he will be greatly missed.
He will be greatly missed. I remember, even when he was out of form in 2002, I think in Korea, Japan, he was brought back. Most of the players, then the goalkeepers got injured. Abiodun Barua, I think, fumbled at a point. Kesho Rumo was the in guy at that time. Then he got injured in Turkey. So they had to bring in the old man back. And it wasn't a pleasant experience in Korea, Japan. When
he was no longer in his prime.
He just had to be brought back for the experience. And, it wasn't the prime Peter Rufai. Exactly. I remember the competition, the match that eliminated Nigeria, I think it was against Denmark, 4-1. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but we wouldn't really blame him for that. He just has to be drafted in at that point to save the day. But then many of his teammates, are still people that played with him. Emmanuel Amokachi, Daniel Amokachi, still here with us. Emmanuel Amunike is still here with us. Garba Lawa is still here with us. KJ Okocha is still here with us. Rashidi Yekini has left, passed on. Yeah. And many, Uche Kochuku is still here. Benny Roy, Austin Egwavon, those are his teammates. And I'm sure that, and there was some, before we cross over to the headline segment, there was a particular award that was done by NFF at one point. I think under the former NFF boss, the Delta guy, Amajupini. And, all of those guys were brought back in a single place, as many as could come.
Yeah, I remember when J.J. Coach had his 50th birthday too. Yeah. They were there as well when he played the novelty match.
Sunday Olisa was their captain, and he spoke, for them and said that team was a family. Absolutely. Actually, the coach at the time, I'm trying to remember that, Clarence Westerhoff actually was the captain. And so
Clement
Westerhoff was the coach, and he said it was like a father figure. So all of them were brothers, and they worked together, and the result was there. And the albatross in that team was the fact that the Nigeria-South Africa situation, because the military was in power, the South Africa were not having that, and so the General Abacha then told them not to attend, to boycott the 1996 South Africa, which was won by South Africa. And so there was a hammer from CAF that for the next two editions, you guys will not go. So Nigeria could not be represented in Burkina 1998. And then I think it was lifted because of the heroics of, I think, Atlanta 1996 and some interventions. Nigeria co-hosted in 2000, Ghana-Nigeria 2000. That was another painful thing. The final held at the National Stadium in Lagos. Cameroon winning 5, I think, penalty shootout.
Where can't remember the scoreline.
Yeah, Victor Ikpeba hit the post with his controversial penalty that decided.
Oh, Victor Ikpeba, yes. Victor
Oh, it entered, oh, it didn't enter, and all of those things.
Oh, boy.
Well, that would be the end of every man.
Absolutely.
Death.
And again, away from that, away from football, in the US, quite a big win for President Donald Trump. Finally, his big, beautiful bill has been passed by the Congress after days of debate. They've passed it. Donald Trump will be signing it into law today, July 4th. I remember that this same bill was what caused controversy between him and his friend, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. Now, a lot of people have criticized the bill. Even former president of the U.S., Musk, some people call him Elon Maseko. Well, they've criticized the bill. Former President Joe Biden has said the bill is reckless, not just reckless, but also cruel. But Donald Trump won. It has been passed. He will sign it into law today. Some critics have said that bill might raise the U.S. national debt, which currently stands at about $36 trillion. Whatever the case may be, he has won for now. He'll be signing it into law. So congratulations to you, Donald Trump. His big, beautiful bill, always proud of it, has been passed by Congress.
And so at this point now, it's more like Donald Trump won, Elon Musk is zero. As it is, what could have made two jolly good fellows? They were not jolly, actually. Because they were
really friends.
I know.
See how Musk supported him.
Hear me. What I mean, two jolly good fellows. You talk about gentlemen who run things together. Both were not gentlemen, but they were close. And we learned Elon Musk spent more than $250 million in campaign to make sure his friend DTT, came in. And then I think, and he said, without him, Trump wouldn't have been
that's
president.
What he said,
President.
And Trump doesn't like that kind of statement.
He has categorically said no. Without him, he would have been president. In fact, he won hands down in Pennsylvania. So what is he talking about? You expect, even if Trump is dead, but his mouth can still move, he will say something. There might be the electric vehicle thing, the project thing might be hit now with what is on ground.
Absolutely.
Because it has been known that DTT, that's President
even Trump put up his own
Jr.
Electric vehicle for sale.
He hasn't
been using it for a while. Exactly.
That, and all of a sudden it's becoming ugly. I think Elon Musk had to tweet and say, guys, President Donald Trump is in the Epstein file. The controversial, notorious Epstein thing about sex trafficking and a lot of those things. There was a controversy about him being involved with, a certain woman, had to pay her off before the election and all of those things. It's just, so it's not only in Nigeria that politics gets ugly. We just have absolutely. A kind of, Nigeria own is a very dynamic one. We have a way we play ours. That's what we live for. As in, not on the governance side, on the perpetually. Somebody enters now, before swearing in, is already calculating the next one. That's what we do here in Nigeria. But over there, politics is always messy because it's about influence. Sometimes you have to make the other guy look bad. And exactly. Yourself the only saint around, even if you are not. And so I'm sure we've not seen the end of this. Absolutely. Because Elon Musk is not somebody known to back down as well. Absolutely. He has the money. No, and in fact, he has been quoted to say it will go to any length.
Yeah, you know what? Elon Musk has said, he said Trump will be around for he'll be president for just about 3.5 years, but he will still be around for the next 70 years or so. That's what he said.
All right. And many persons are saying maybe he might just give the presidency a shot. Why not? If anybody can be president, actually, and you don't have to really be in power before. Donald Trump is an example. He has never held official positions before. And he was so, even in the first time,
he came in and
was so
beat
sure.
Hillary Clinton. Yes.
I was so sure that I'm going to be president.
During the campaign, there was a particular debate I watched when Hillary Clinton was, bragging that she's been in politics for about 20 years. And Trump said, you were there for 20 years. I don't want to use the word he used now. I mean, just doing the wrong thing. So it doesn't really matter how long you've been in politics. He came in as a fresh guy, a businessman, and he won. A lot of people felt, he would never be president. They were all wrong.
And for Elon Musk, there is enough to throw around when it comes to money.
Absolutely.
People around here, politicians, who say what money cannot do, more money will do. Absolutely. So you're talking about Elon Musk there. If it's about money, there is a lot of it. Where we started from, for many you might not know who Peter Rufai is. I hope we can have, your pictures or images or that of Diego Jota for them to just see who we are talking about before we go to the headlines today. You know, the Friday program is always a dynamic one. Diogo Jota, a Liverpool player, a Portuguese player as well, 1998 to 2005. That's for Diogo Jota. And for Peter Rufai, okay, maybe we have it later. Peter Rufai was born on the 4th of August, 1963, and died 3rd of July, 2025. That is for Peter Rufai, popularly called Dodo Mayana. And for Diogo Jota, he was born 4th of December 1996 in Porto, in Portugal, and died 3rd of July 2025 in Senadilla, in Spain. Full name Diogo Jose Teixeira da Silva. You know, Brazilians usually have very long names. Sometimes they just reduce it to one or two. If you hear the name of the great Pelé, a very long one, these are some of the things. And then, all right, we'll take a quick break. When we return, the program will continue. Stay with us. All right, we'll look at the papers right now. The newspaper segment is next, and we will be kickstarting with the Nigerian Tribune for today. The Nigerian Tribune. Here, top strip, the Patriots Constitutional Summit. 700 delegates to brainstorm on way forward for Nigeria. 700 delegates to brainstorm on way forward for Nigeria. And riders to that says conveners to present reports to Tinubu, NAS. Each ethnic nationality movement to have 20 representatives, governors to send 24 delegates each. Each ethnic nationality movement to have 20 representatives and governors to send 24 delegates each. Talking about the patriots there. And one of those patriots is, Magaji Boyega.
Oh, absolutely. We had him on the program.
Yeah, and he's talked about why they are having these. And the core conversation is about having a brand new constitution.
Absolutely.
That will be people-centric. And everybody will feel represented. And how far they can go with this, we will wait to see. Now, coalition. The Nadi Usman, Abure camps resume tackles after Obi's romance with ADC. It's getting interesting. Well, then the Abure camp has given P2B like 3 days or thereabout to make up his mind and resign the membership of the Labour Party if he wants to stay on the other side. And the Nadi Usman-led representative, leadership is saying, please, well, go ahead.
Well, let's see how that goes, because
exactly,
sincerely, it was Peter Obi who made Labour Party popular in the first place.
Yeah.
So if they are proving to be stubborn, he might just move to another party.
Interesting analogy there. They are proving to be stubborn. Well, and that's true. Labour Party has always been, actually, and but during the 2023 elections, they were more popular because of the movement and the Peter Obi factor. Now, beside that, Peter Rufai dies at 61. And below that, Zenith Bank ranks the #1 tier 1 bank in Nigeria for the 16th time. All right. That'll be all from the Nigerian Tribune for today.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, we move straight to the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Coalition members move to exit old parties. Coalition members move to exit old parties. Of course, talking about the coalition, they've unveiled the ADC as their platform, as a new platform for them. So members of other political parties have started resigning just to make sure they join the ADC fully. Moving to the top strip of the Daily Trust, we have INEC receives 12 additional applications for party registration. INEC receives 12 additional applications for party registration. Before now, INEC had received about 110. Now they've got 12 more. That makes it about 122. So many parties, so many associations, applying for registration as political parties. How many of them will sail through? That's the question. If we have about 122 right now, how many of them? How many political parties should we have? What would be their significance? Is it just about having multiple political parties? At the end of the day, they are not there. They are not even on the ballot. That's another question. Still on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Ex-Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai dies at 61. Ex-Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai dies at 61. Talking about Dodo Mayana right there. He will be greatly missed. Now you can see his picture right there. That's Peter Rufai, the legendary Dodo Mayana. My favorite up till now, my favorite goalkeeper, Peter Rufai right there. Of course, I grew up watching Peter Rufai. Away from that, you find a story on page 11 of the Daily Trust. Moving towards the bottom strip right now, we have Remi Tinubu returns to Plateau, donates 1 billion naira to victims of attacks. Remi Tinubu returns to Plateau, donates 1 billion naira to victims of attacks. Talking about the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, right there. And below that, with $2 billion Tier 1 capital, Zenith Bank rated #1 in Nigeria. With $2 billion Tier 1 capital, Zenith Bank rated #1 in Nigeria. So congratulations to you, Zenith Bank. You find a story on page 25. Beside that, 2,000 hectares. My children have rights to own land. Wike, that's according to FCT Minister Yesom Wike. Of course, the dust has not settled concerning his children owning lands, and he's saying they have the right.
Yes, they do.
To own land.
Everybody
they do have it. Absolutely.
So once it's properly done. If you have money to buy and you've gone through the process, you have right to. But if actually the only reason that will facilitate those properties or lands for them is because they are sons of the minister, then that's why we should interrogate. The fact that people are in power doesn't mean their family should be disenfranchised, except their father or mother being in power will, give them an undue advantage.
Exactly.
That's
2,000 hectares. Quite interesting.
Well, we don't know if it's about 2,000 hectares.
That's what this report is saying.
That's a lot of land, man.
That's what I'm saying. 2,000 hectares.
That's a community right there.
That's what we're talking about.
Interesting. In Abuja.
Yeah.
Even if it's in Giri, even if that land is located at Giri Junction or Yanya.
2,000 hectares.
That's a lot, man.
Sincerely.
If that report is true, 2,000, not plots.
That's the point.
Hectares.
2,000 hectares.
Wow.
Of course, that's why Nigerians are raising eyebrows. Come on, Minister Wike, come on.
Wike and Sons community.
Absolutely.
Well, why not if not?
Away from that, just beside that, we have Senator's aide resigns over 20,000 naira salary. Senator's aide resigns over 20,000 naira salary. I'm trying very hard not to laugh here. 20,000 naira salary for a senator's aide. That's I don't know which word to use to this. That's inhuman.
Well,
that's inhuman.
One, we need to check that particular story.
Yeah.
Because there might be many angles.
Absolutely.
The 20,000 salary, was it because there was a reduction? Did the guy spoil anything at the office? And the salary was deducted and it was remaining to, you know how to say that, because there was a time in a particular state not too far from here that they were getting something very minimal, very ridiculous from FARC. And the position that was presented to the people is that the government at the center hated them. But then people who know that it's because there have been deduction from the loans that you people took. So there are narratives. That's just the thing. Because for that particular state, they will say, oh, it's because these people hate us. That's why. But people that know, you guys are using your state money for collateral. So every month, before you get yours, the bank will have removed theirs, and whatever is remaining, you now tell the people they're given, the federal government gave us 5 million naira. No, okay, it's not 5 million. It's after deduction. Or sometimes it even enters negative. It depends on narratives being played. And if actually somebody is being called senator's aid, it's to the senator, and you are paid 20,000 naira. Number one, that looks very devilish. Number two, it's an handicap on that person, because people are seeing you as senator's aid. So they will expect you to even help them.
Absolutely.
Number two, they believe you don't need help. Meanwhile, you are being paid 20 per.
I know. In this same Nigeria, Femi, there was a time it was reported in this same Nigeria, a senator's aide, a young lady, a youth corps member, NYC member, who was being paid 2 million naira per month. It was widely reported in the newspapers.
Those are aides.
Special aid. You know.
This one, I don't know what.
2 million naira.
By the way,
month.
you know, sometimes people give themselves nomenclature, you know, to say I'm a senator's aide. Maybe you are not. For somebody who's saving 2 million naira, there's aid right there.
No, they call that special aid.
I don't know about that. But for this one, maybe you are just close to the senator and they just give you data money to forward stories. You know, forward has received. There are people, they call them data boys around here. So maybe it's just money for data. And you are the one calling yourself senator's aid.
All right.
You know, many things happen.
Quite interesting.
But if you dare come out and say you're an aide to a senator at a restaurant, my brother, billing will kill you.
Absolutely.
With your 20,000 naira in your pocket. You are done for.
Oh, quite interesting. And that'll be all from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, from the Daily Trust newspaper, let's see what the Punch has for us. The Punch newspaper 2027 showdown. Coalition snaps Tinubu as Wike ADC trade blows. All right. 2027 showdown. Coalition slams Tinubu as Wike ADC trade blows. All right. And of course, you expect that one to be a verbal blow. Not really.
Absolutely.
At least a blow. All right. And presidency brands ADC leaders Syria election losers. All right. Now, FCT minister attacks Mark. Others. Coalition kicks. It is politics. You expect that. You're coming to say, you know, for the coalition, their watchword is Operation Tinubu must go. So you don't expect people on the Tinubu's camp to lie low.
Especially someone like Sule Lamido.
And just do like this. And just expect you to just come at them. Now, Nigerians, we Nigerians are the ones that will shine our eyes to see what is happening. Now, coalition, this particular coalition, have found their voice and they have said, ADC, maybe there might be a third force in a kind of way. People don't really belong to that APC camp, this coalition camp, and another camp. But people are waiting to see who
talking about the coalition, the presidential candidate for the ADC in the 2023 general election has come out to say that these people should not be trusted. That they're after their own selfish interests.
Mr. Kachuku?
Exactly, Kachuku. He is saying that if truly they after the interests of Nigerians, this coalition should come out and tell Nigerians that they are not working for Atiku. So he believes the sole purpose of this coalition is just to make sure Atiku gets the presidency. He said if they mean otherwise, they should come out and tell us that, no, we'll zone it to the southern zone, to southern Nigeria. That that is just all about.
It's just about
Atiku.
All
That's
right.
what he said.
And Peter Obi will be a part of that?
Of
The work for Atiku?
Peter Obi has said that it is for Nigerians, and he also said he will be on the ballot.
We'll wait to see.
So let's see what happens.
Nigerian politicians are a special breed of people, very special ones. Now, tributes as Eagles legend Rufai dies at 61. All right. And capital project got only 20% of 25 trillion naira 2024 spending. Capital project got only 20% of 25 trillion naira 2024 spending. And, you know, talking about Dodoma, I remember the 1994 Eagles were promised more than 30 years ago buildings in Abuja. And, you know,
I think they got it recently.
Like 2 weeks ago. That was when that promise was fulfilled. 30 years after. And I just hope Dodoma got his before he left. And many of them, it was promised under the military. 1994.
Why did it take them
30
so long?
years after, my brother.
31 years anyway.
31
Why did it
years
take them
after.
so long?
That was when it was fulfilled by handing over the papers to the houses. I think President Muhammadu Buhari did something on that, actually. But now the papers has been presented 31 years later. Now, a child that was born at that time will be 31 years now.
Absolutely.
So meaning for an adult, somebody who grows from an infant to 31 years, during their lifetime, that promise was not fulfilled. Now, this is where I'm going. Now that Dodo Mahana has died, just Rashidi Yekini and others before him, tribute from all over the place will be, pouring forth.
Yeah.
But how did we manage these people while they were with us? That is just the thing. How can you even make a promise that took 31 years? Yet, some people can put something in a budget today and get the money today, and it will be done, not like today, but this year, because they are the ones in charge.
You're even talking about budget, and this in Nigeria, we've seen people who have cash stashed away in buildings, and the cash starts to get rotten, wasted,
I'm even talking
because
about
they know nothing to do
government
about it.
in power. And, it's a continuum. When you inherit assets, you inherit liabilities as well. But then, these are the issues. And that's why some usually think about where they are, especially those that have the opportunity to switch our allegiance or to promise it. Do they stay where they are or where they were born or come back? These are some of the issues. But then, Nigeria will always be our first point of call. Now, capital project got only 20% of 25 trillion 2024 spending. So how do you categorize such a budget performance in which 20%, according to this particular story now, capital project got only 20% of 25 trillion 2024 spending?
So what was done with the remaining 80?
That's it.
Recurrent expenditure.
Well, they will say maybe that's only what the money on ground can fund, 20%. And that's why many Nigerians have been talking about, before we hit another budget, there must be a serious, breakdown of how the budget that is expiring has performed. Budget performance should be a great thing for Nigerians to. You don't just come and say, okay, for next year, this is what we are going to spend. What did you do with the ones we have with you?
Yeah, and again,
that should be involved. That's part of what should be our State of the Nation address.
Absolutely.
It's a law thing. Budget is a constitutional thing. And so you can't have money, 10 billion naira, for example, and okay, nobody's asking you how you have spent it, and you just come the next day. The next year and say, okay, I need another money. This is how I want to spend it. So what have you done with it?
The previous one.
Yeah.
I'm talking about budget and spending.
Instead of just doing on your Monday with a stand every time at the National Assembly.
And our culture as a people. The other day, I called out the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, who approved a sum of 64 billion naira for renovation of government house. For a state,
64 is just 63 point something.
63. Okay, you're defending him now.
Be
63 point
categorical.
something, right? Okay, 63, 749 million, something. Yeah, for renovation of government house. For a state whose IGR, internally generated revenue, just reached 65.2 billion naira for the first time. Now you're spending almost 64 billion for renovation of government house. It is how we spend, our culture as a people.
Daniel, that's the issue with you people. You don't see what they are saying. It's the issue with you people like this. You are not.
We see that they are being wasteful. We are saying.
Okay, you are saying
public funds. This is not. It's not. As when he was spending his personal money, it was my business. It's his money. In
another meeting after that program, the governor said some people are complaining on social media that we are spending this kind of money.
Yes,
they say it's not you people's business. Except you are from Oyo State.
Is it his money?
That's what he said.
Is it his money?
I'm just informing you. Are you from Oyo State?
It doesn't matter. When we see leaders who are not doing well, we call them out, whether or not I'm from Oyo State.
And it sounded so ridiculous for you to say, people that are willing, are you from here? And in fact, many persons said, they might not be from here. If they are going to Lagos, right? From Oshogbo, and they stopped in Ibadan to buy gala and coke. They have contributed to the economy of Ibadan. And
why are the people from Oyo State even silent when their governor is saying such a thing?
I'm not sure they are silent. Why? He's anybody. He's just talking about the social media people and say, if you are not from here, and if you know Seyi Makinde, you will now smile. on this. You know, he has a calm mien, and so you won't really say what he's saying.
Quite wasteful, if you ask me.
Before we go, there is another headline at the top strip of the Punch that we're looking at, and it says ECOWAS Bank approves $100 million for Lagos Calabar Highway. That's it. ECOWAS Bank approves $100 million for Lagos Calabar Highway. That's the super highway.
So much for that
the
road.
The pride of
so
this administration.
Much for that road.
My brother.
So much.
The government have done 30 kilometers out of the 700. So you people should be impressed. Sarcastically speaking, that will be all for my end.
We move straight to the front page of. Let's quickly take a look at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the Vanguard, we have ADC Coalition, Alliance of Displaced Politicians. ADC Coalition, Alliance of Displaced Politicians. There is nothing you won't hear in Nigeria, and that's attributed to the presidency. Of course, they've called them internally displaced politicians. Whatever you call them, let us see what happens in 2027. These IDPs, so to speak, might just spring up. A huge surprise. You never can tell. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Right beside that, we have Wike declares end to Rivers crisis. Wike declares end to Rivers crisis. You might be wondering, is he the god of rivers declaring end to Rivers crisis? You find the story on page 12.
Cessation of hostilities. So, guys, that's all for now.
He said he has won. He was dancing. He said he has won.
No, but I think he was talking about the PDP Chris Anya with national secretaryship. And, you know, he gloated while the people on the other camp were even there. In fact, he said at that particular meeting, he said the chairman.
He was even pointing at
he said the chairman, the national secretary, I know you are not happy. Two of you. I know you are not happy, as you said. But I won.
That's interesting. Interesting characters in Nigerian politics. And finally, from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, just below the Wike story, we have Zenith Bank leads in Tier 1 capital for 16th year. Zenith Bank leads in Tier 1 capital for 16th year. Quite impressive for Zenith Bank. And that'll be all from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And I guess that brings us to the conclusion of the newspaper review segment of the program today. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll dive into critical conversations. You do not want to miss it.